versus what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And don't say blind playthrough. Don't say blind playthrough. um, let's see. Uh, I'm gonna do a test the levels. Say something.
These nuts roasting on an open fire.
Okay, these nuts roasting on an open fire. Okay, I think our levels are pretty good. Your voice is booming as ever. We're live. Uh, yeah, hold on, let me get some tea in me. Oh, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Welcome everybody to a very special episode of the Hey Listen Radio Show. Um, it's just me and Jumper Cables today. Joe's a busy black man. He's got things to do, turkeys to eat, and turkeys to jive. Um, about a week ago, my old film history teacher from college, his name's Jesse Hawthorne Fix. You can follow him on Instagram at Movies for Maniacs. He's been doing triple features for a long time, but he always is like on Instagram. He's like, I have VIP passes to go see something early, and so last week he had tickets for Bones and All, and I saw it and I was immediately like, holy shit, this is mind blowing. This is disturbing. This is fucked up. I love this. There's so many layers to what's going on. It's just beautiful filmmaking. And I told Jumper Cables, I was like, somebody's got to see this. I got to talk about this. And so, uh, here we are. Jumper Cables, you saw it yesterday. We haven't spoken about this
Yep.
at all. Did you know
Mm-hmm.
anything about this going in?
No, I think I'd seen maybe like a trailer for it in the periphery. I didn't actually watch it. It was just something I'd occasionally see, maybe like an ad or something for, like in the YouTube algorithm, maybe. But it wasn't really on my radar till you brought it up. And
Yeah.
even after I watched the first trailer, I was kind of meh on it till you cued me in on a particular element. One I think you said was present in the second trailer, and that's actually what really hooked me into going to see it.
What was that? The
Uh,
cannibalism?
yeah, that they're eating people.
Yeah. This is spoilers. Uh, spoiler cast for sure. But yeah, I think it's there a little bit in the first one. But I remember actually
Yeah.
my friend that I went with said something about that. He was like one of the trailers was like did not make it seem like what this movie is going to be. The second trailer really like gets into it, like what it
Mm-hmm.
actually is going down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, what do you think of the movie?
Well, before I go into that proper, it does kind of this movie kind of like stands out as both an argument for and against going into things blind.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first couple of minutes,
Yeah,
it's feeling like a very different movie.
yeah.
Even when that first finger goes in, it's like, oh, this is different than what I thought. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And while I kind of I'm appreciative of the amount of information I had going into it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it can also be an argument for the importance of a good trailer. It kind of helped to balance my experience in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
The shock and just insanity of this would probably have like hit me way harder if I'd gone in completely blind, but I'm not sure how invested I'd have been in the characters if I kind of got like kicked in the teeth like that early on.
Yeah.
Like I worried that I'd spend too much time being like, "What the fuck is going on?" And like maybe my brain would get stuck there for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I was on the journey for sure. I'm always in with this kind of things, but there's a few points in the movie where I feel like they let you in on certain things that they're talking about, um, like sort of underneath everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those first few minutes was very much like, okay, which way is this gonna go? Like, this is she's feeling certain ways about being a teen, and like is she gonna meet Timothy Chalamet from the trailer. It's like, does she meet a cannibal? And
Hmm.
and then
Yeah, that.
they set up this expectation too, I think, a little bit. And I love when movies can subvert like sort of the dominant paradigms that exist in society.
Hmm.
So they put this black girl in this room with like three like catty white girls,
Yeah.
and one of them does this like little nod, this like sort of like eye roll when they find out where she's from, and you think it's gonna be about it's like, oh, this is how oppressive it is, like she's so oppressed, and then and sort of it is in some ways, just to even but I love how they play with that, and like it's like, oh, like, no, this girl's like a person eating monster, and you don't, but they've already garnered you some sympathy and set her up as the outsider going into this new school.
Hmm.
So and they really play with that balance the whole movie of like really getting you to sympathize and care about these fucked up people.
Hmm. Yeah, that was. I think that's probably its most impressive feat in
Mm-hmm.
regards to the film, because I was, and we're doing the spoiler cast anyway. I was seriously and maybe naively hoping for like a happy ending, like a mega happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I really wanted it for them, in spite of the fact that they are these people eating creatures.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Um, yeah, I so but she basically flees, and her dad is. Did you recognize his dad? Her dad?
Not immediate. No,
Did you ever see Moonlight?
Moonlight. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, Moonlight's pretty good. I recognize him from Moonlight.
Hmm.
Um, but and yeah, I thought he had such a small role, but like a really interesting performance as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of like and interesting to start there at the end. Where like he's like, I've raised you, and you just do this thing, and I don't know how to handle it anymore. Goodbye.
It's like, I've tried. This isn't done out of malice.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
actually hurts a bit, but and there's something between him kind of needing to get away from it, but also maybe hoping that her being on her own will actually work for her.
yeah,
Like he's at the point where he's like, I can't. There's literally nothing I can do for you now.
yeah. What did you think of the tape? It felt very MGS3.
Um, a little bit. It's and this is more so a quirk of me than anything objective, but it can bother me sometimes when it comes time to like deliver some
Mm-hmm.
information. It seems like the default stance is, okay, everybody sit down and look at each other and have this long conversation about a
Yeah.
thing, especially in a film where it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is just an excuse to like watch facial expressions and let people act. Like you're watching the acting as an activity
Uh-huh.
versus it serving a function within the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, grain of salt me, that actually drives me a little nuts.
Which one drives you crazy?
Just the sitting down and expositing
Yeah.
at each other
No, exposition
information.
is nobody likes that shit. I immediately think
Well,
about Dark Knight Rises.
yeah, it's specifically when it's like emotional ass dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you do to kind of make it a bit different, and it says something, because I don't. The tape worked for me because it felt a bit like voiceover, and the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of getting it in these little smatterings based on how much she can handle in one sitting.
Yeah.
I like it getting dispersed that way.
Yeah, me too. Um, it was I mentioned MGS3, but it is a little bit video gamey, like sort of BioShock. It's like we're seeing her move the plot
Hmm.
forward as he's talking about this thing. But I also thought a lot of the voiceover was really strong in terms of just acting, like letting someone act with their voice.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that, and accomplishing things, because it is a long movie. Um, Yeah.
And you can have her moving and doing things as the voiceover goes on, so you kind of can get more done with less space.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. So then she sort of moves into, where does she go? Chicago or something? Oh no, she takes a bus to Ohio. Um, and then so this is I'm curious how you felt about this at the start, like the first appearance of Sully, and the sort of like introduction to,
What they are.
yeah, and how they move about the world and how they detect one another. What did you think about that?
You know me, I'm like really into like fictionalized lore and world building.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you got to learn more about what they are and how they functioned, I was like, I was really honed in. There's a part of me that kind of wants more, but I can see why being kind of subtle about it, kind of letting the mystery sit there, would be appealing to a broader audience. Um, I do sort of wish they did more with the idea of them having enhanced senses of smell, or maybe just like honed or focused senses of smell.
Mm-hmm.
It also seems maybe like they smell things a bit differently.
Yeah.
Like they might smell when they smell like a dead body or someone bleeding or something like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not repulsive the way it is to, I guess, a regular human.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that the strength of your sense of smell is something you actively have to train.
Yeah. It just seems like that's what he was trying to do when
Yeah,
they were in the house, and he was like, "What do you smell?"
yeah.
Yeah, I could smell you.
It was a weird thing with Sully that I don't think, to me, he came off as creepy as he was maybe supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
because I've dealt with a lot of weirdos like that.
Yeah.
But I understand completely and utterly why she's so off put by him.
Yeah, he's definitely weird. He's a weird dude.
Yes.
From the moment you see him, you know something's weird about him. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the ponytail and all the
He, he,
decoration,
he,
the
he,
flair.
he, yeah, yeah. He very much has the look of a drifter and potential serial killer.
Yeah, dude, the drifter is something that miss. I miss because I feel like it was something that like people who are like 30 years older than us like really like grew up having to deal with, and then they put that in 90s movies, but then by the time you get to the 2000s the drifter trope is like kind of gone.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is the potentiality, and I think it's the reason why this movie is set. They're not specific about when it's set, but it's set a ways back.
It's set in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's was specifically a point in time where you could get like caught, cornered, isolated, and not have a means of communicating.
Yeah.
Like you could get like the potentiality of them getting stranded on the road was like a real danger
Yeah.
in this sort of setting. and
Yeah.
and I think it's that setting that the drifter is kind of like the highest level of threat. Like I think there's kind of it kind of phasing out as cell phones become more and more of a thing.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
also the 90s, it's kind of like the 80s with the 50s, where one generation is
mhm.
being raised on another generation's nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
in this case, it's being raised on their fear. It's like some drifter's going to blow through town and kill us.
Yeah, no, that's a really good uh, point. It's weird because I feel like we're hitting that point now where people are being raised on our
Yep.
nostalgia, big time.
Yep.
Marvel.
Yes.
But yeah, ours was like, Saving Private Ryan, A League of Their Own, like all the stuff about World War II in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the whole movie it's about drifters. Like Lee and Marin are dangerous drifters, and Sully always just represents something more extreme and worse than those two.
Definitely something yeah, I think anytime you encounter another one, I don't think you really encounter another friendly eater. And the
Yeah.
thing that seems to reoccur with all the ones they do encounter is that there's a certain level of unhinged that comes from their condition.
Yeah.
And it forms a little different between Sully, I forget her name, her mother, and the bones and all the guy who drops the title.
Yeah, yeah. Bones and all. But yeah, that I think that's sort of key to what the film is about. And I think the film is like, um, it's very political. I think. Did you? I kind of gave you a heads up to look at sort of the color story that was happening. Did you notice anything with that?
No, I missed your message before I went
Oh,
in.
okay. So there's
You want to elaborate on the whole color thing? I was a little confused when I saw the message.
yeah. So like a color story is like, I heard Ryan Coogler mention this with when he's talking about Black Panther and all the costume designs, and where it's like every color tells a story and it means something.
Hmm.
In this movie, I didn't pick it up until about halfway through, but I once I noticed it, it was impossible not to notice that in every single shot, there's red and there's blue, or it's either red or blue. And
Yeah.
the moment where they hit me over the head with this was it was a bit later in the film where her and Lee have kind of distanced themselves, but she comes back to Lee and she runs to him
Hmm.
at this lake, and it's this big lake party, and there's this shot of them hugging at the lake, and as it's pushing in, you see on the edges of the frame there's a blue tent on the left side, and there's a red tent on the left side, and there's a blue tent on the right side, and there's an American flag stuck into the top of the blue tent.
Hmm.
And once I saw that, I was like, "Oh shit! They're saying something about like political extremism and divisiveness in this movie." And from that point on, I noticed that there was red and blue in every single shot. You know,
Yeah, the first thing I think of is the big blue truck they get so attached to.
yeah. See, I didn't even notice that. Like, I didn't remember
The
that it was a
truck,
blue truck.
the truck stood out. It was getting to the point where it was feeling like a character in the film.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the truck. I didn't pay attention to it was to that it was blue at that point, but that makes sense. Like, it's really interesting that, and they're throughout the film they're kind of switching color palettes with each other. There's a point where
There's
she's
a
yeah, there's a point where she's laying down at one point, and her ponytail is very like placed next to her, and she's wearing like a red ribbon on it, I think.
mhm. I mean, there's a Lee's hair,
Yeah,
bright ass red.
his bright red. Yeah, so I think there's something I needed to watch the film again because there's something really going on there with like, I think politicalness, political divisiveness, but also I think there's something to do with gender too. Those two colors, blue and red,
Yeah,
and pink. But yeah, that was yeah. That was my one of my biggest takeaways from the film. But there was another one that was also like where I was like, oh, that's what this is about. Uh,
hmm
and so anyway, like so she meets to go back. She meets Sully, and then she meets Lee, and they meet, and he eats that guy and takes his wallet or whatever, and then they sort of develop their code. Everybody has their own sort of code, which is I thought
yeah,
was really interesting too, and plays into that political. Like Sully, who's like older, has this code of I'm gonna wait until someone dies before I eat them.
hmm
But Lee just has like it one step further. He's like, I'm gonna kill people who are pieces of shit or people who nobody's gonna miss.
yeah. People who are either causing problems or will cause problems. Yeah, specifically, he seems to. I'm not sure if he's really like casing the people, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like there's a want to go for people who aren't gonna leave something behind.
Yeah,
Because it completely screws them up when they realize that fucker from the carnival had a family.
yeah, I know. And so this was another thing. Like as soon as, what did you think of that whole scene of where he's basically flirting this guy?
Kind of seducing him.
Yeah, he's
I kind
seducing
of
him.
so there's kind of a weird thing because it's possible that some of that, and this is me kind of like reading into like the lore implications of what these things are.
Mm-hmm.
As it seems like they definitely have an unease with like actual violence and malice. There's a strange lack of malice in a lot of the violence that's visited by them in comparison to, let's say, that last scene with Sully, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
where it's very much got nothing to do with eating anybody. It's very much bad feelings and hostility.
Yeah.
Same thing with the people that Lee targets, where there's no reason for them to be mean to these people. They're just doing it. It feels like there's a clear divide in it, even though the violence they're visiting is worse. I'm almost forgetting what my point was. Oh yeah, about the thing with the carnival guy. So what I'm getting at here is it seems like there's even a detachment from when they're enacting violence to eat, to the point that what was her name, like Marin or something like that,
Yeah.
the girl.
Yeah. The main character.
Yeah, where she seems to almost go into a trance when she takes that girl's finger off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was sexual at first, but like
Yeah.
she's just kind of out of it. And there's some some of it outright said, some of it really implied that she didn't retain any memory of people she'd eaten up until that point.
Mm.
Like her dad says, okay, you clearly don't remember about that time where you were 3 and you ate the babysitter. And I think it's only implied that she didn't remember that kid she ate during camp. Because I think when she mentions to Lee about having eaten that lady, she said it was the first time I remembered. So I
Mm.
think there may be some degree of like almost like predatory nature
Yeah.
once they go into that mindset. Like almost like even when Lee's antagonizing that guy to get him to go, go into that covered area with them, it feels a little like their ability to navigate socially is heightened when it comes time to eat.
Yeah. For her, I think a lot of this stuff it's like trauma response too about what
Mm-hmm.
she's doing. She's trying to block it out, and that has to do with the trauma with her mother that she's trying to block out, I think, as well. But
Mm-hmm.
so the scene with the did you see Call Me by Your Name?
No,
Okay,
not yet.
I give you the
It's
run.
on the
I'll
list.
give you the rundown. I love it. It's a beautiful movie. I think it's sort of like it's on par with In the Mood for Love for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's kind of like Gay in the Mood for Love.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think I've seen a trailer for it.
yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, I saw it in theater, and the sound mix was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is the same director. He also did the Suspiria remake, which I haven't seen. But You Call Me by Your Name was all about like discovering gay love in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think this movie, when I saw that scene of him seducing the carnival guy, it just all hit me, the allegory. I was like, oh, like this movie is about being gay in the 80s as well. It was like just exactly like because I had been asking myself the question while I was watching the movie. I was like, why are there so many fucking cannibals everywhere? Like, and how are they running into this? It doesn't make any sense. But when I saw that, I was like, this is fucking. They are gay people in the 80s who have to hide, who have to send the weirdest signals to sniff each other
Mm-hmm.
out, like literally sniff each other
Sniff
out
each
in this
other out.
movie.
Yeah.
And like the weird underground world and like making sure that you're safe to be able to talk to people, you know, but everybody's like, and I think that plays into the political aspect of like, you know, just because you belong to the same group doesn't mean you believe the same things or follow the same codes as everybody else.
Or will even be fully accepted into that group
Yeah.
if you show them what you really are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, thread yourself bare, so to speak, and be like, "This is me."
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that scene was really to me that and the tent scene like sort of like blew me away with just like oh
Mm-hmm.
like I like when there's deep subtext, but then they release the valve a little bit to let you in on what's really happening, what they're really talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I read it a little differently, and again, I don't know if that's just me seeing things in a way that's more entertaining to me, or if there is Like if you were to ask the creator, they might say, "No, no, this is a clear allegory for blank."
Mm-hmm.
It felt to me like they took these sort of affliction these people have with the whole eating thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess if it is meant to be a set allegory, they weren't too on the nose to it. It felt
Yeah.
very much like its own thing,
Yeah.
but the sort of like combination of like isolation, unease, and potential bonding for those in the similar space
Yeah.
kind of it's something that's easy to imprint upon.
Yeah. I think also just the taboo-ness of it, right? I think
Yeah.
if you're making this movie, if you say I want to make an allegorical movie about gay people in the 80s, or if you're trying to explain, I imagine him trying to explain what it was like how taboo
Hmm.
it was, he might have just
Yeah.
let it slip out, like, it would be like being a cannibal today. Like telling everyone
Hmm.
you're a fucking cannibal and you eat people.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. um yeah, let's see. They road trip around and they meet his sister. Let's talk about Lee for a minute. What did you think of Lee's backstory and just him in general?
Um, he was really good in just as a means to kind of like project the movie, move the movie forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's with Marin. She's a very indecisive character.
Mm-hmm.
Lee's kind of the antithesis to that, so he's really good about getting things to go forward. Also, finally having her around another eater to kind of like bounce feelings off of helps to build on their strange nature a bit more. His character was mostly fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting a little irritated with him being cagey about what happened with his dad, but I once you find out, I understand why.
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of they sort of peel him back like an onion. You know,
Hmm.
they sort of peel all the layers back, but he's so guarded too and angry that he won't let anybody in, and she finally like gets to him.
It's yeah, it's just it's weird to see him be so guarded when he seems, in comparison to her, so open about the whole eating thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's just I'm gonna eat this guy. I'm gonna take his shirt, take his truck. Oh yeah, he's got that Kiss album.
Yeah, that was sick. I mean, yeah, even that too. Just like the idea that someone who's like, yeah, who's your enemy that you've killed and defeated, and suddenly you're like in his house and you're like, this guy likes all the same shit I do, you know?
This guy, he's
Like,
basically living a Skyrim playthrough.
yeah, he's just like fucking, like, I'm fucking, like, the finding relatability in someone that you've, I don't know, vanquished or eaten. I thought it was really interesting
Yeah.
from like a political standpoint. Yeah, but I,
Well, it
I,
also kind of elaborated. Well, that sort of thing, that thing I was talking about, where you see how their nature is different from normal humans. One, in that their morality tends to kind of peel back when it's times to eat. Not only when it's time to eat, but in nature to who they've eaten.
mm-hmm.
The only time the only time you really see them get upset about having eaten someone is when they realize they got a family. You know,
Yeah,
they're not looking at this guy's stuff and thinking, "Oh man, this was a living person.
yeah, and I
He
think,
wanted to come home and listen to this stuff."
yeah,
Oh,
and I think if Marin sort of represents like maybe at times a more leftist viewpoint or like a more female perspective, I think she does feel those feelings deeper.
yeah,
Like when after they eat the old lady, when she eats it with Sully, and they kind of show her looking at all the portraits of this lady's whole life. I
yeah,
mean, that was fucked up. Seeing that and just being like, wow, she had her whole life, lived this entire life, had a family, and like after she died,
and,
she was eaten,
and
and
then
they're eating her right now.
died slowly on the floor for close to 2 days, and then
Yeah,
her body got eaten.
yeah, that's fucking wild shit. Yeah, Yeah, and then yeah, dude, fucking and Lee just has that one person that he cares about, his sister,
Hmm.
who's pretty funny, very 80s. Uh,
Yeah. Drops the other F word on him.
oh yeah, yeah, the very casual faggot drop. Yeah, that's the other thing where it's just like people just used to say that shit to everybody's face.
Yep.
Yeah, but basically gotta get into the part that really fucked me up. Let's start with so Marin basically finds her maternal grandmother. What did you think of the
Mhm.
grandmother?
There was clearly a lot of repressed trauma there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, it felt off to me that she was actively trying to keep Marin away from her mother, even though I think Marin basically told her, "Yeah, I'm like her too. I'm just trying to figure stuff out."
Mm-hmm.
Her not wanting to touch it, even though touching it was the surest way to get her gone. Um, I think it was performed really well.
Mm-hmm.
I only thing I can think as to why she was like really cagey about telling her is if like maybe she knew her mother was going to try to eat her.
It was kind of at the end of her letter, but not really. I mean, I would. My read of it was that she did not want to put this girl in a position to even know what kind of person her mother was. So she just didn't want, like, even though she didn't know her or like care about her that much, she just like didn't want to deal with it. And probably
Hmm.
somewhat on the inside too, didn't want to like acknowledge like that. When something happens that's traumatic in a family, the family will talk around that
Mm,
till they all die.
yeah,
I've seen that in my own family. Shit is uncomfortable to talk about.
that's true.
Yeah, so to have an outsider come in and like start being like, "Hey, what happened with that person?" And just no, she's just not around. Just, you're not gonna immediately be like, she fucking ate her own arms and ate people and. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess you're right. It is. I guess because I was so entrenched in the logic of the film,
mhm.
and I'm not a normal person to begin with. That a conventional response to something like this would seem foreign to me in that moment.
Yeah, we also have like more knowledge than both of the more knowledge than the grandma has at that point, I think. But it's weird
Yeah,
because as an audience member, you know things about Marin, but you don't know anything about the mom, and you're like
yeah.
trying to get it out. But um, yeah. So the visit and the Chloe Sevigny cameo, I gotta say, probably one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in cinema history, in my personal cinema history since like the. Have you seen The Shining?
The subplot to this podcast is things Jumper Cables hasn't seen, but is planning to.
Okay, there's a moment in The Shining that has freaked me out like no other in any movie, and this is like similar in some ways, but dissimilar in a lot of ways. But if anybody who's seen The Shining will know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. I was in somebody's Twitch chat the other day, and they randomly brought up that scene from The Shining, and I was just like, dude, I've been talking about how scary that shit is for forever. But this shit freaked me out because I have mommy issues. Did that shit freak you out?
Um, it was horrifying in how sad it was to me.
Mm-hmm.
That and it kind of spoke to something I mentioned before, where like one of the things both Lee and Marin seem to fear is a sort of derangement forming from their nature.
Mm-hmm.
Every other eater they encounter is deranged in some way that even they find horrifying.
Yeah.
You got Sully, who's just like really creepy and unhinged, even for a weird person. You've got those strangers, one of which is talking about eating somebody entirely,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's like this, like it's like you're reborn. It's like eating for the first time. Like
Yeah.
he's decidedly more predatory, more animal in that nature, to the point that if what they're implying is true, he's got a guy who's completely normal eating people.
Yeah. Or very interested in it.
Well, I shouldn't say completely normal. He's not an eater. That
That,
guy's definitely got to be
that guy's not
psychopath.
normal.
So no,
He
he's
just
not.
likes to watch.
Well, he's unhinged. It's just he's not one of them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that in and of itself is deranged. But the derangement it seems more deranged that someone is taking someone who isn't like them down that path.
Yeah, dude.
And then, of course, now you have the mother who thinks, okay, I'm gonna do my mom duties and put my daughter out of her misery by eating her.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Like they're all taking their crazy nature and taking it to a place that's unhinged even for them.
Yeah. It's fucked up. I want to talk about the strangers too, but let's finish talking about Chloe. First of all, brilliant cameo, brilliant casting. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see her move into that stage of like older woman roles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and she's still got that spark of like I'm gonna play the most fucked up shit. I'm gonna be in the most fucked up movies. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
I will say there is something like almost like heroically tragic in that the solution she found
Yeah.
was to self cannibalize.
Yeah. It's terrible. I don't even know it was. I think she was forced into it. Like they caught her and put her in there, and she was like,
Well, remember the grandma was saying she signed herself over. Like
yeah,
that was what she was screaming at Marin as she ran out.
yeah, yeah. But okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it's just she couldn't.
And I
Keep
feel
it in
like
check.
the other sad thing is that it's that same logic that made her think I got to eat my daughter.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's I think I told you I got a bipolar mom,
Mm-mm.
and she's doing great right now, and we're doing a lot of healing together, and it's great.
That's
And
good.
she's been telling me lately that she's been listening to the podcasts, which I don't. And then she's going back and correcting me on stuff. She's like, "We weren't on food stamps. We applied for welfare, but we didn't get it. But we were low income." Why are you texting me this? Yeah,
Oh no, that's not. You are a son, though. That's not. I mean, it's got to feel weird for sure, but it's not
yeah,
abnormal.
it's weird. But I'm also trying to be more open with her. But I think that really struck a chord with me, like seeing this scene, because
Mm-hmm.
because me one of the most terrifying things to me is like would be losing control of my mind, and knowing that I actually like, having bipolar people in your family, it can mean that
The seed is
yeah,
there.
it can mean you're predisposed to that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So that was just really terrifying on that level, but also the
yeah.
idea of like, my mom is really scary when she goes manic and
Mm-hmm.
and threatening, and like I've gone to visit her in the hospitals where she's like yelled at me and berated me, and it's like scary and like traumatizing. So to see this
Mm-hmm.
moment on screen was very
Which is kind of
traumatizing.
like, yeah. It's the epitome of
uh,
that fear.
Yeah, but I love when movies can do that, when they can lock something in you and make you look at yourself. I thought that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that scene moves into like, also the narration with the letter again, the voiceover I thought was really cool, and the build up to the end.
Oh my god, that I think that's what made it the most scary for me
Yeah,
is that like the I don't know if there was really
yeah,
music, but definitely the sound was kind of
yeah,
like ratcheting up,
yeah,
and it felt like the delivery in the voice as she read it was changing. Like it was literally like it felt like it was at the point where she attacked. What Marin was hearing as she read it was in line with "I'm about to eat you."
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that shit's fucked up.
Yeah, no, I'd say outside of the last scene with Sully, that was probably the scariest scene for me.
Yeah, and that's sort of like what you were bringing up earlier too, with like the ending. It's like, is it gonna be a happy ending? In that moment, I was like, are they gonna? Is there gonna be a reconciliation? Is she gonna get some
Yeah,
newfound insight into Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I wasn't expecting the attack. I was kind of
yeah,
expecting it to be a bust.
yeah, yeah. Did you see Wakanda Forever?
Not yet. I was actually that's what I was. I was torn between seeing that and seeing this, but I thought,
Yeah,
okay, uh, Wakanda Forever is going to stay in the theater longer, so I'll wait.
yeah, for sure. I saw it last night. It's really good, but the thing I just mentioned sort of just reminded me of something in that movie. It's a huge,
Hmm.
huge movie, almost 3 hours. Really big, really good. I liked it a lot. Um, but yeah, so at that point is when I think she gets into a fight with Lee afterwards, and they separate.
Yeah,
Um,
that's when they have their big argument.
yeah, but let's circle back to the strangers because I want to talk about casting a little bit because
Hmm.
I so the hillbilly, the most hillbilly, the consummate ass hillbilly in the it's just like my only clothes are overalls. That's all I need.
Yep.
Like Michael Stahlberg, I think.
Hmm.
So they
Yeah, he did have the look of the consummate backwoods killer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
even it was and there was probably something to the color element that he specifically had Budweiser, but that
yeah,
kind of fit with the theming still.
yeah, blue overalls, red Budweiser probably. Yeah,
Yeah, it was red.
yeah, but I thought the casting was so brilliant, and some of it is like, we're gonna work with, he worked with a lot of people he'd worked with before. I think he's
Hmm.
worked with Chloe before. Obviously he worked with Timothy Chalamet and Call Me by Your Name. Michael Stuhlbarg gave one of the most like heartfelt, like soft, loving performances ever in Call Me by Your Name. I think he might have been
Hmm.
nominated for an Oscar for it. And here he gave one of the most terrifying, fucked up, disturbing performances
Yeah.
ever. And I love that. And I love that he took Timothy Chalamet, the face of boyhood and beauty and charisma, and put him in this role of a killing, drifting, just murderous cannibal, like
Hmm.
unhinged, completely damaged. And I love that he's one of the faces of the marketing campaign because he'll get people in butts, and I love it when butts are put in seats and they're challenged. I like that a lot, and I
Hmm.
thought they did that really well with this casting.
Well, yeah, they're gonna pull a lot more people, especially if all they see is that first trailer,
Mm-hmm.
with Timothy being kind of like at the forefront of it,
Yeah,
alongside the implied love story and the violence. They might think, okay, it's about this enigmatic killer and how this girl melts his heart. And no, they're
yeah,
definitely going to get anyone coming in for that reason is going to get challenged for sure.
yeah, yeah. I like that, but I also do think that uh, I think people can handle this movie actually, because I was talking to my friend. I think that first finger biting thing
Hmm.
it reminds me of when they dropped the F word at the beginning of the Batman. Like
Hmm.
they're setting a tone for what this movie is going to be like, but you're never going to hear another F word. Like
Yeah.
there's a more fucked up shit in this movie that happens, like disturbing on a psychological level and some like gore and stuff, but I don't think it ever kind of hits that first shocking mark that it does
Well,
with Finger
yeah.
Bite.
Well, you also you have to do demonstrably more to shock someone
Mm-hmm.
each time you do something shocking.
Yeah,
You can't do the same thing over and over and expect to have the same result.
yeah,
So even though it was just one finger being bitten off, the fact that it happened in a moment that you did not think it was going to happen, and it was pretty graphic.
yeah. She
More
peeled
so, more so
this.
the screaming. I think there's only two instances where you see someone get eaten alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure Marin at the end takes a big bite out of Sully.
Yeah,
Well, I guess technically three instances.
yeah.
Uh, uh,
So the when yeah, I want to bring it back to Sully because when they're separated, she runs into Sully again on the road, and she finds out that he's been tracking her, and there's sort of like have this moment where he kind of more concretely in his head realizes that she doesn't want anything to do with him. Where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, the no means no moment where it sets in, and then he becomes offended and enraged, basically.
Yeah, like when he becomes hurt. Well, he's initially hurt when she kind of implies like, okay, so you want to do some stuff to me.
Yeah,
Like his feelings are hurt there, but yeah, then the rage come where she's like, no, I'm not getting in there.
yeah, yeah.
I don't feel for you the way you feel for me.
Yeah, he's such a fucking wild, weird character who's like spent too much time alone
Yeah.
and like on the road, living by his code, but eventually his code cracks under the weight of the stakes he put on someone else for their
For the basically how much he put on another person for his own happiness, for his own peace of mind, for whatever.
yeah. And again, casting, like Mark Rylance is a really interesting actor, because I feel like
Hmm.
he's not really. Have you seen him in anything else?
Not that I can recall, but just the look of the guy,
Mm-hmm.
it's possible that I've seen him in something and didn't recognize him.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was until he won the Oscar for Bridge of Spies a couple of years
Mhm.
ago, and then I went back and rewatched it. And I was like, oh, he's pretty good. I don't know if he deserved an Oscar there, but he's good. But I've also like he's the type of person where you go back and look at his IMDb and stuff. You'll be like, oh, he was in this and he was this, and oh, he was that guy in this.
Hmm.
Um, but he's got an Oscar under his belt. I really think that dude will be nominated for another Oscar.
For
Not,
sure.
not that I don't give a shit. Not that I give a shit about the Oscars that much anymore. I used to really love watching them, but I think they have some course correcting to do
Hmm.
with a lot of stuff. Um,
I kind of missed. I kind of wish there were more. There was more than just the Oscars.
yeah,
I think there's like Golden Globes or some other shit, but like
yeah.
like a lot more.
There is a ton. The thing is, the other stuff just generally isn't like televised, really.
Well, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Is that like if there is a lot more, then I wish it kind of got more press.
Yeah, you gotta look for them. Like the SAG Awards,
Hmm.
Independent Spirit Awards are a pretty good one. The awards that they give out at film festivals, like Venice and stuff, Golden Lions, um, which I think I saw the movie that won the Golden Lion, and it's not as good as this movie. It's
Hmm.
Triangle of Sadness.
Hmm.
It's really good, but it's got more of an obvious like societal commentary that people are into now. Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
about class. Oh my god, it's so smart. And that's the same reason people fucking lost their shit about Parasite over. It's like, oh my god, it's
Or
about class.
or Crash.
Yeah,
It's about
Crash.
race.
Oh my god, they talked about race. Holy shit. Not that I think these movies are fine. I like a lot of them, but it's also like it's not the smartest thing in the world, you know. Yeah.
Well, it's like a baby's first introspection.
Yeah, it's like that Dave Chappelle joke where he's like, "Oh my God, then the New Yorker printed it, and you knew it was true. Oh my God, the police have been beating up New York like hotcakes." Like, it's that sort of thing.
Yeah. Grain of salt to everyone. I'm like so completely burnt out on like political discourse and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, me too.
I'm just kind of tired of not being heard.
Yeah, me too. I think.
Too too often I feel like I like engage with someone on that and they're just
Mhm.
kind of waiting for me to stop talking so they can either correct me or well, like if somebody wants me to listen to them, like wants somebody to hear them out, I can do that. But I'd rather folks just be upfront with me about that rather than say, "Oh, let's talk about this," and then I get talked over for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to do
I've had to
more.
leave some friend groups over that.
Yeah, I've had people, basically. I think we can talk about it later, but I think someone we know is like kind of bailed on me just for like social media posts, and
Really?
I've had a lot of people unfollow me for social media posts, and it's kind of
Uh-huh.
like people look at social media posts as like that's what this guy believes exactly. or
Like that's
something.
what's in their heart.
Or like he believes like he likes this guy, and he's like, I've had people call me a fucking fascist for shit that I've posted,
Hmm.
which is like, and it's not crazy stuff. It shouldn't be crazy at least, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm trying to get better at like deciding the spaces I want to move around in. That's a big one,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
B, learning to do the balance, like, because I've been overbalancing, just like keeping quiet. But I think
Hmm.
I do need to, like, sometimes you have to say stuff because sometimes people are just unhinged, like
Yeah.
like they just say crazy stuff and
Or
people let them get away with it.
yeah, or they're like their perspective is like completely one sided. Like
Yeah,
something I've been seeing a lot of is like, okay, you've got a good idea in regards to this, but then these other things here I can't make sense
yeah,
of
yeah.
because of this. Not to say that I think I'm only going to think you're right if you feel the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point now where I'm kind of looking for something I haven't heard when I'm talking to
Yeah,
somebody,
yeah,
and I haven't been I haven't been hearing much.
yeah, yeah. I think I want to mention names, but I think after hyperbole is like I'm just so done with hyperbole. Like
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, there was a certain after the January 6th thing, someone who was there was like, this other person who was there tried to kill me, and it's like, no, they didn't. That person hid in the closet. Like, come on, like they hid in the closet with the rest of the scared motherfuckers. And I have a lot of problems with the reaction of that because it's just like you guys are all like, you chose to get into politics. It's dangerous. Um, Not that it should be, but like that's just that's the nature of the game. You know. But
Hmm.
let's see, what were we talking about, Sully?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this movie really is about that clash of ideals and living up to your own codes and stuff like that. It's really
Hmm.
interesting.
And kind of like what happens when those codes clash.
Yeah,
'Cause that
yeah,
was kind of that's where the big sort of struggle between our couple comes through is when their
mm-hmm.
codes don't align.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Lee really brushes Marin off when she's saying you did something wrong, killing. He's just like, we didn't know, we didn't know, we didn't know. It's like
Hmm.
you have to take some kind of responsibility. Um,
Well, it's the as it seems like for better or worse, he's very good about compartmentalizing and moving forward with the stuff based on need. Um,
yeah,
it's kind of one of his best traits in regards to living as this thing.
yeah,
But the one instance where it kind of goes south, and I guess maybe some of his frustration stems from the fact that he initially did that for her. Remember,
yeah,
he decided to find them something to eat because she told him she was hungry.
yeah. It's like he locks all this bad stuff away
Hmm.
inside of himself, and when somebody knocks on the door, it's he can't handle it. And the reason
Yeah.
is because I think same thing with Marin. They both face this in different ways. It's like he can't live with any similarities between him and his father.
Hmm.
He just can't handle that, you know. And then they have that conversation, which also we come back to as the last shot in the film. Um, about it, which is great. And then they sort of make peace with each other, and it seems like they're trying to give up the cannibal life.
I'm not quite sure. That was one thing I was kind of curious as to like how they were going to address that when they say, okay, let's plant some roots here. Let's try
Mm-hmm.
to live like normal.
Yeah,
If there's going to be some alternate solution they find, I don't know, maybe they like find a morgue to rob or something like that. Maybe they can take a whole body, eat pieces, and keep it on ice. I don't
yeah,
know. I was kind of curious for that. Really, I would have if they'd have given me the mega happy ending and just left it on. Oh yeah, we're gonna see your sister tonight. Yay! I'd have been okay. But I kind of I kind of knew, maybe dreaded a little, something was coming.
Yeah, because we know Sully's still out there.
Yeah.
And I did think that they did a good job of towing that sort of line of like what is going to happen, because while Sully kind of faded into the background and you remember him and you're wondering if he's going to come back or not, there's also they meet the hillbillies, something could happen there, and then there's the whole thing where she's going to meet her mom and who knows what's going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad to see Sully again. He's a very interesting character. Really fucked up. I love fucked up villain. I think this villain is like, he's McCarthyian, Cormac McCarthyian, I should say. He really reminds me of like Anton Chigurh or the Judge from Blood Meridian. He's got a code. He follows it, and he's just a disturbing threat. He just has this whole philosophy and outlook and way of being. So I mean, he shows up and he there's the big fight, and they discover that he killed his sister and stuff. But what did you think of that whole scene? Like that whole fight? That shit was raw.
It really was. It was like really dire and violent, and then it highlighted what I was saying before about how the violence the eaters enact when eating feels different from I shouldn't say actual violence, from violence enacted in malice or even self-defense.
Yeah. Like I never seen anybody.
There's a strange divorce from cruelty.
Yeah,
I guess.
But it's also like disturbing to see.
Well, it's still disturbing because it's like an animal eating something.
Yeah, well, it's disturbing. I mean, that when it's an actual violent attack, like it's disturbing to see, like, oh, these like their instincts kicked in. Like they kick in, and they, at least for Lee especially knows what to do as an aggressor. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody sneak up behind somebody with a plastic bag and choke. Like that was so.
Only in I've seen that. I know I've seen that in a movie, not quite the same way.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I thought of was the original Manhunt game.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Fuck. That was a controversy.
I want to say there's a kill like that in Casino also.
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically because they roll up on someone. There's a plastic bag over his head, and something else happens because there's blood in the bag.
Yeah.
When he dies.
Yeah. I mean, after she reached into his body and squeezed his gizzards, maybe that had something.
I'm pretty sure she ate something. I'm pretty sure she ate them gizzards.
Yeah.
Because she had blood on her mouth.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like walking around in that daze. And one of the things Lee tells her when he finally says, yeah, fucking ate my dad, is like, when he ate him, he was like high. There was a high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was my lore brain acting up again. It's like, okay, that's what happens when an eater eats an eater, I think. Granted, Lee also said when he's like describing eating, it's like he can feel all his blood vessels and stuff like that. So there could be something to just eating in general.
Yeah, somebody said something about.
That's kind of how I read it.
Who was it that mentioned eating other eaters? Was it the hillbilly?
There was no. It was part of Sully's code. Like the first thing he says to her is like, "You don't eat other eaters."
Yeah. So do you think that he was actually going to eat them?
I don't. Nothing about what was going on there gave me the impression he was going to eat them. I did feel like he was going to kill them. Like he may have worked his way up to either killing them or just abducting Marin and being weird and creepy. Because even up until that point, as like close as he was getting with her, I don't know if it was like lust per se driving him.
Yeah.
I could not make heads or tails of what he was looking for out of her, and that kind of made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable because either way, whatever he wanted wasn't good.
Yeah. No, none of it was good, and he was like all up on her.
Yeah, he was all up on that. Yikes.
Yeah, no, it was. So let me and this might maybe the lore brain going off again. When she went into that bag and found his sister's hair in there, and then okay, he got realized okay he got her.
Mm-hmm.
I was half expecting her to pull out something that indicated that Sully was related to her mother.
Hmm.
I was expecting that to be like the twist, because I was trying to make sense of his obsession with her.
Hmm.
So I don't think they ever fully clarify what it is. It might not, or he at least might not want to believe it's anything lustful, because when she implies it, when he meets her by the van, he seems kind of. He's clearly got like hurt feelings. So I was wondering if maybe there's a blood connection somewhere, but they didn't go through with that. So as far as I know, that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe I gotta rewatch.
Well,
I missed a lot of dialogue.
like no, I think what I'm saying is I was expecting her to pull out some bit of information, maybe some picture of him with like a younger version of her mother or something like that.
Yeah. But I will say that watching this movie with a big audience was really great. Who you hadn't heard. We were, some of the first people to watch the film, so there's not like buzz. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Like,
yeah,
I think there were two big reactions to the movie. There's probably some laughs in between, but the first was the finger biting.
Yeah,
which is like shocking and horrifying and funny and fucked up in some ways.
Yeah, there's going to be like, so I only had a handful of people in the theater with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were the laughs when uncomfortable crowd.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any laughter during the finger biting, but when he dropped the big C on her, I heard a lot of giggling. And I don't know if that was like, haha, that's funny giggling.
Who called? Sully called her.
Sully called her.
Yeah. I think I thought that was funny. It's a full blind rage.
Yeah, that scene I was a little uncomfortable by, just because that's the kind of stuff I got to deal with at work.
People calling you a cunt?
Not that specifically, but that weird sort of back and forth. I'm angry. I'm walking away. I'm coming back to yell at you.
You will take this toilet seat into the donation pile. God damn it!
I came all the way here. You're really mean. F you.
Yeah. But so there's that. I couldn't tell you how other people were reacting to the scene with the mother, because I was so just like, oh my god, what the oh fuck, this is fucked up. But the other huge reaction in the audience was when she pulls Timmy's shirt open and reveals he's been stabbed. Everyone was just like, oh no, like it's not the boy,
that was the big oh no, yeah.
Yeah. God, not the beautiful boy.
It's like, oh no, that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, I love that. And to me, it was like, it was not physically as gruesome as anything else. And it was also like one of those shoulder wounds, kind of, that like close to the
that's
shoulder.
Why I kind of wrote it off, because you see when it happens during the fight, when he initially like gets the bag over him, Sully reaches back and kind of gets a stab. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he doesn't have very good leverage with that. And that knife he had, every knife you see in this movie just looks like really kind of dinky, janky, and unsharpened.
Mm-hmm.
So I was assuming it was like a glancing wound. It was like a glancing wound. Like it wasn't going to be anything major.
Yeah.
And then when they actually look at the thing, it's like, oh no, he fucking gutted that kid.
Yeah.
That's dire.
Yeah, which I appreciate the sort of realism of that. In a scramble, anything could happen, and you're not going to realize that you're hit like that with adrenaline.
Yeah, all the adrenaline going on. It did sit weird with me how just kind of like exhausted he was once the whole scramble was over. I was like, okay, he's really lying there. Is he having like a moment or something like that? What's going on? And
the scene in the bathtub was intense.
Yeah.
Just a lot of, you could see just the anger that they carry around with them.
Well, it was probably like the one instance where the sort of primal aggression and the human aggression overlapped.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. But yeah, and then
Down to the fact that the finishing blow was taking a bite out of crime.
yeah. Yeah, fucking just wild shit. Even that part where Sully's got the bag on him and he just like claws it and it's just like peeling it open so he can breathe. And then she's
And he's
reaching
breathing
in.
now, but it's not gonna keep him in, like, being able to breathe ain't gonna keep him any less alive.
Yeah. I don't know.
Almost like he drew a breath and realized it wasn't helping.
Yeah. Fuck. But yeah, man, I really fucking loved this movie. Oh, I think it's really something special. Really well made.
It was. I appreciated it way more than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a my my movie watching acumen is nowhere near as sophisticated as yours. Not to say that the movies I like aren't good or deep or have meaning, just that the meaning's a bit different from what you might expect looking at a film like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at the trailer and there's a possibility, like, oh yeah, this is some, like, even with like all the okay, this is some indie movie where people
Mm-hmm.
just sit there and talk about their feelings for way longer than they need to. And there's a lot going on, a lot to hold your attention, and they kind of use the fantastical element of these eaters to inform the sort of heartfelt drama a lot of people are looking for, but the drama itself never bogs down the story either.
Yeah. And you know, the fantastical is a good word because one of the things I said to my buddy right afterwards was like, this movie is, I haven't seen Twilight, but it's Twilight with cannibals instead of vampires.
Well,
And
it's kind of like what if you and there's different ways to depict vampires, but it's
mm-hmm.
kind of what I think Twilight should look like.
Yeah.
Twilight's too impossibly pretty, even when people are like feeding. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, take all the floofy, fanciful love, but then like depict the violence as
Yeah.
violent.
Because they're just doing horrible, fucked up shit. Like vampires are just terrifying. He made that stuff like feel grounded and real. That's what
Yeah,
I really appreciated about that. Was
you,
it's
you,
like,
yeah, that's like my favorite thing is to take
you know,
like a fantastical element and make it feel like it could exist in this reality right under our noses.
yeah, yeah. I just when I thought about it, it's like this could have been vampires and made $1 billion, but it's cannibals and they're gonna make hopefully like 250 or something, or hopefully they make something good. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just and I love subversion. That's my shit, and I think
Mhm.
this is a very subversive film, very brilliant. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
yeah,
And it caught me off guard how much I liked it.
yeah. I would say if you like this, definitely watch Call Me by Your Name.
Hmm.
It's a good come down after this movie, probably. But the other connection with like he used all the actors that he
Uh
used in
huh.
Call Me by Your Names, but there's one big missing actor from Call Me by Your Name who
What's that?
who expressed an interest in something very strange that caused his entire career to be destroyed. On top of being Me Too'd.
Wait. Was it actual cannibalism?
Yeah, it was Army Hammer. Do you remember that? All the text that came out about like, I want to eat you and stuff like that. I'm gonna fuck you and eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The irony.
So I can't help but think, is like this some sort of message or love letter to Army Hammer? Like, he's the one guy who's not in it, but he kind of is the subject matter.
It would be kind of hilarious if like there was a love story that wasn't quite in the head of the writer that wasn't quite clicking till that stuff came out.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I don't know if you stayed through the credits, but it was based on a book, actually.
Sorry, my stuff cut out. What'd you say there?
Oh, the film is based on a book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
I did not. I might have to read that book.
yeah. too. I'm a little bit worried. I'll, I'll, I'll read
Well,
it.
see, I'm kind of trying to read it for different reasons. I'm wondering if I'll get more
Mm-hmm.
info on what they are. Like
Yeah,
that element
yeah.
really fascinated me to the point where I was like, I wanna, and I'm probably wanting more answers than are necessary. But it's like I kind
Mm-hmm.
of want, not that I need them, just that I'm fascinated by this whole thing. Is
Yeah,
that I want a whole series of this.
yeah. Could be interesting. The Bones and All series
Yeah.
for kids.
No, no,
The
no.
newest tween sensation.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah. I love that kid Timothy Chalamet. He's
He's good.
he's. I thought he was fantastic at this. I thought he was kind of doing a Corey Feldman impression a little bit, um, which I thought was cool. I thought he really nailed the like '80s sort of jaded teen.
Mm-hmm.
And just his movements and stuff, and the way he talks, his accent is really interesting. I think his accent sounds a lot like Corey Feldman to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought Marin gave the right performance for the character. She didn't sort of stand out, but she was really good.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again and pay more attention to her.
Mm.
Not that I wasn't before, but like there's something about it that I missed, and I don't think it's bad.
I kind of focused more on Lee just because of how active he was by
Yeah,
comparison.
yeah,
But I was really engaged in the mystery surrounding Marin and her mother.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, when I do end up watching this again, I will probably focus on her a bit more.
Yeah, I hope people take notice of this movie, and I hope Mark Rylance, gets some recognition for this, and I really hope Chloe Sevigny gets some recognition for this.
I'm hoping that like the way the streaming market has sort of supplanted the home video market, and you kind of like get to see the world set on fire by what's come out on insert uh, service here. Like I hope this film gets another push when it's available on one of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm hoping I haven't checked box office, but I'm hoping it does well. Actually, I have Wikipedia right now. Let's see. Yeah, no.
If
Oh wait,
if nothing else, I want them to make their budget back.
let's see. It's getting great reviews. It looks like. In limited opening weekend, 120,000. Its projected gross is around 7 to 9 million.
What's the budget?
Budget budget was 16 to 20 million.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't
Hope it
know.
makes it back one way or the other.
Yeah, it could be streaming deals or hopefully I think it might pay off in award season.
Yeah.
People know this director, they really like him. Um, People know Timmy, they really like him. Mark Rylance is known. I think the girl is a newcomer. Um, but yeah, this was a cool movie. Is there anything else you want to say or recommend?
Yeah, I do have kind of a strange recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I was planning to have you, potentially Joe as well, watch for my anime podcast. I'm gonna launch at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's an anime. I think it's currently 2 seasons on Netflix called B Stars. It's kind of features anthropomorphized like animal characters.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a setting where like every other animal evolved to be humans instead of humans. And one of the conflicts at the heart of it is the tensions between the herbivores and the carnivores.
Mm.
Specifically, the fact that the carnivores need to eat the herbivores
Yeah.
to live. So the society's kind of got things down, but the tensions are there. It centers around characters attending like a prep school
Mm.
and a star-crossed romance between a herbivore and a carnivore. But like where the similarities happen outside of people that eat people and how that can get in the way of things is the fact that they take that element and kind of allow it to be unique rather than being a stand-in for a specific issue.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, you get to see a lot of those issues both tackled and imprinted upon by the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regards, they're pretty similar.
What's it called again?
Beastars or Beast Stars made
Beast Stars.
portmanteau, one word.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely in the mood for more cannibalism.
More eaten.
Yeah, I'm gonna be thinking about this as I chomp on some turkey today.
What's funny is I got out the theater and was trying to figure out what I wanted to eat, and I was like, "Oh, I could probably get a good steak over there." And then I thought about what I just watched. Like, do I really want to eat steak after this?
Yeah,
I really want some rare ass meat right now.
yeah, maybe some tofu.
I think I had like soup and potatoes.
Yeah, I might try and drag my parents and my brother to go see this movie. Maybe
Hmm.
my sister. We'll see. It's tough because I feel like Wakanda Forever is there, and we could see that. But I think my dad and my stepmom would like this movie. My
Mm.
stepmom's a little bit squeamish, but generally they both like kind of original, fucked up, weird stuff. Like
Yeah,
my dad's they've just both seen so many movies that anything original and new and disturbing is like I think my dad will be hooked in the first few minutes. Like,
yeah,
you know, yeah, it's fucked up.
yeah. There's some violence
Yeah,
going on here.
yeah,
Some real deal
a
gore.
bit of the old ultra violence.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Um. I can't really think of anything that I
Okay.
didn't already say, other than I'm glad I watched this film.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for watching it. I really had a lot that I needed to get out about this.
Oh yeah, no, I could
Yeah,
understand why after I saw it.
yeah,
It's a very and this is the kind of thing, right? When people complain about the oversaturation, not just of Marvel, but
mm-hmm.
superhero films and really just big budget, grandiose
Yeah,
spectacle movies.
yeah,
If when they were complaining about that and saying they want more of something else, if it's
yeah,
stuff like this, I'm down.
yeah. Go see it.
Right? Like I'm definitely down for that. My
Yeah.
concern is that when people complain, "Oh, big budget spectacle isn't real cinema,"
Mm-mm.
what they're wanting is more of the stuff I was dreading this was being. Sit down, talk about your feelings, sit down, monologue, sit down, and as
Yeah,
much as I like Scorsese it up because I could not get into The Irishman.
I like The Irishman.
As someone who rewatched Casino recently, has seen Goodfellas God knows how many
Yeah, yeah.
times,
We all have.
I don't dislike Scorsese, but he like Irishman was just too much. It felt like navel gazing Scorsese.
Yeah, I feel I've
At least for me, I couldn't get past like the first 20 minutes. I was like, "When's this movie gonna start?"
yeah. I love slow shit, but I've kind of gotten it on both ends recently. Like I, I a lot of people I think it's hard for me to connect with people who aren't like true film lovers but like watch all the Marvel stuff and like do watch a lot of movies and things like that, but they're just so fucking like jaded, like I mean
Hmm.
I really think Everything Everywhere All at Once is a masterpiece. And I said that in some Discord, and people were coming back like, it's a 7 at most. It's like, I don't know. If you have no heart, I guess it's a 7,
Hmm.
sure, but like also it's subjective. So like when I went to like kind of like tell the same group about this movie because I was really blown away. They were like, "Well, you thought that Everything Everywhere at Once was a 10, and it's really a 7." And I'm just like,
It's like motherfucker, you and the goddamn seven. Are we
yeah,
reviewing video games here? What the
yeah,
fuck?
and it's like it's hard for me because I don't want to like first off, it takes a long time to explain why I think something is brilliant, and second off, like I don't want to be like pretentious and be like, this is why, because I think people like they're even jaded to that when you try and break down like the brilliance of the film. Like it's not just it's the plot, which I think is what a lot of people go to. They go for plot and spectacle. It's like there's more to
Yeah.
the shit. Like it's like, what is the film saying? What is it not saying? And what is it
Mhm.
saying by not saying certain things? What is the acting like? What is the costume
Like
design like? What is
I
the
was about to say,
yeah,
like, what about the costume choice? What about the
yeah,
design? Hell, what about the colors of every object in the in the goddamn movie, which was
yeah, I
big?
know. Yeah, it's like the design, like this stuff is design. It's hundreds and like sometimes thousands of designers designing things to tell a
It's
story.
it's so many
Yeah,
hands touching to make one thing,
yeah,
and there's a choice to be made at literally every avenue. It's why cinema is like one of the biggest art forms.
yeah, So I kind of I had that reaction when I was telling some people about this, um, and then a friend of mine, it's like you know like and some people are just like, well, you like Marvel movies. It's like that's their reaction when I say that I love this movie. It's like, come on, dude. It's like it's just there's no, I don't know. I just feel like the true cinema lover is can appreciate everything.
Yeah, they can find something of value in just about everything. It doesn't.
Yeah,
There isn't really like I think in someone who just appreciates art in general, there isn't any real, or maybe they just kind of avoid notions of not even correct so much as incorrect.
yeah, yeah,
Like the
exactly.
the problem I've always had is the like I have an aversion to the word good in regards to movies in
Yeah, me
general.
too. Me
I
too.
mean, I should say art in general, but
Hmm.
films in particular, because it
Yeah,
always feels like there's an implication of a specific, either a specific genre or a specific criteria, a specific type of
hmm,
film.
yeah,
That's why, like, anytime I call something Oscar bait, it's more damning than it probably should be because it's like I hate this shit. This is that shit they're all calling good right now. I don't even want to watch, and I sometimes fall into the same trap that I'm getting mad at other people for doing because I'm
yeah,
writing something off based on what it looks like, but it's in response to sort of the dismission. I don't know if that's a word. The dismissal of things I enjoy that are seen as either lowbrow or unsophisticated, or it's just big money, big budget,
hmm,
whatever. Whether it's the Marvel films or it's like action films from previous time periods, or it's like the martial arts films from the 80s and 90s that I long
yeah,
for even today,
yeah. My
or like high sci-fi, high fantasy, or sci-fi, well, whatever.
yeah.
All that I like.
Yeah, I think my film history teacher was really kind of beat that into like the validity of every genre. Yeah, which I like, but yeah, for me, I think the pain in the ass thing comes from just wanting people to like step out of their wheelhouse or like see things from other perspectives, and a lot of people are unwilling. And I really hate the nitpick. They're just like, oh, he did this, and like that doesn't make any sense, and it's like, no, the movie's not about that. Like it's about something else.
Yeah, or like does that need to destroy the entire movie for you? Like,
Yeah,
was there anything else you enjoyed or appreciated?
yeah. It's like people want to make they want to see stuff that's like made exactly for them, and
Yeah,
it's just like I don't know. To me, I go to movies to learn about other people and myself too, but I
yeah.
don't. I don't want like a reaffirmation of exactly what I am every time I go to the movies.
I can appreciate that. It rarely happens for me since I'm so
Yeah.
weird, but I also, find value in learning about something different
Yeah.
and kind of like, I'm the type of viewer that wants to kind of like exist in that world for the time that the movie runs.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you can give me that experience, even if it's something that has absolutely nothing to do with me, sometimes that makes it even better.
Yeah.
I want to have a experience. It's not a specific one that I'm looking for. something, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm not so caught up on notions of objectivity, like I got to be right in my
Yeah.
dislike. I can dislike something and it can still be good. Likewise, I can like something and it can be terrible.
Yeah. I think I'm very much like, and I think I picked this up in art school, is like looking for trying to figure out the language that a film is talking to me in, and then that's the fun of it, like deciphering the language that they're using and then using that language to figure out what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's the engagement of movies for me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bones and all, go see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Ugh. Yeah, anything you want to say to the audience?
Uh, I really needed to do something creative, so thank you for giving me a reason to. It
Yeah,
applies to you too, Mike.
yeah, me too. I'm gonna try and get this one out fast.
Mm,
So I want people to hear about this movie. Not that
yeah,
everyone listens to me, but
if it can help at all, I'd like to do it as well. I'd
yeah,
like to
yeah,
see. I'd like to see this movie get some buzz, some appreciation. See what kind of weirdos a reaction to this film shakes out. Maybe we'll make a new friend.
yeah. I think I'll try and I might make this public on YouTube as well, just to be in another space for
Hmm.
it while the movie is still in the ether, while it still has a chance.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you tuned in, Gaming Omar, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Omar.
Yeah. Um,
If there's anyone else listening to this, past, present, or future, go ahead and check out. I think it's Gaming Omar One. That's his YouTube page.
mhm. Yeah. Check us out on Twitter, Hey Listen Radio, for the updates of when we go live and when we post podcasts, which is increasingly everywhere. But we're sitting on a big stack. I got to get through those and put them out. Um, I think I want to download them all, and then I'll sort of talk to you and see if you have time to do something or.
Well, yeah, I've been wanting. Did my need to just output something? One of the things I'm planning to do is just finally
Yeah.
get that first plus episode out.
Yeah. Yeah. I might just ask you to just listen to some of them and see if they're okay, because like honestly I think a lot of them are okay, because like we figured out our levels and I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
And if you give the okay, then I can just like throw music on it and put it on SoundCloud.
Well, with plus, there's going to be how to put this. I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I told you before. It's going to be like done in
Yeah.
segments, and I
Yeah.
want to. I want for there to be some not spectacle, but some element of production to it.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Hey Listen Radio show though.
Oh, hey, listen, radio. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they sound good enough, then yeah, go ahead, just put them out as is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I definitely want to look into that. Yeah, heylistenradio.com. That's the link to our SoundCloud. And, yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Ugh. I'm gonna end the stream.